Hey, I'm Pastor Eric, and welcome back to God's Promises Day 3, where we're continuing to look at how God strengthens us in Jesus. Now, in our Bible lesson, we heard the awesome story from the Old Testament of David and Goliath. So if you haven't yet watched that video, I invite you to go back, find it. We're going to be talking about it just a little bit. But otherwise, let's keep going. So when we were talking about David and Goliath, remember, David was the very unlikely opponent for Goliath. He had the whole weight of his country, Israel, on his back, because if he lost, the Philistines would win the war. Now Goliath, remember, was 9 feet tall. He was a gigantic man. And David was just a boy in his teenage years who was used to being a shepherd. He had never fought in battle before. But God used David. He gave him the strength to defeat Goliath, to overcome an opponent that David would never have been able to defeat on his own. Now today, we see how, or in this video, we see how Jesus gives healing and the strength to someone who never again would have been able to do it on their own. We're going to be talking about Jesus healing at the pool of Bethesda. Now this can be found in John chapter 5, verses 1 to 17. So if you'd like to open a Bible, you feel free to pause the video and go and do that. Find a Bible, open to John 5, and kind of be following along as we go through Jesus and the healing at the pool of Bethesda. Now the pool of Bethesda was a large water pool in the city of Jerusalem. That was the capital of Israel. And people would go there who were lame, who couldn't walk, or invalid, or blind, or who had some kind of infirmity in their body. Now every once in a while, the water in the pool would begin to churn, it would begin to spin rapidly. And the belief was that if you were the first person into the water, you would be healed of your infirmity, whether you were blind, or maybe you were deaf, you couldn't hear, or you couldn't walk. If you were the first one in when that happened, you would be healed. Now there was a man who had been lame. He couldn't walk for 38 years. That is a very long time. Take the age that you're at now and figure out how many more years it would take to be 38 years without being able to walk. Now this man is at the pool of Bethesda. Now every time the water gets churned up, he's not able to get in first. So he continues to lie there day after day after day. But he has all of his hope that one day he's going to get down into that pool and be the first one to be healed. Well, Jesus shows up one day. Jesus shows up and basically goes to the man and says, "Do you want to be healed?" And the man says, "Well, I don't have anyone to help me get down into the pool. And by the time I get close enough, someone has already gotten in." It's an interesting answer because if you were asked, "Hey, do you want ice cream?" you would say yes. Or you'd say no. Right? It's a yes or a no question. It's a very easy thing. Do you want to be healed? Yes. But he doesn't say yes. Instead, he gives the reason why he's not healed, which shows that all of the man's faith is in the waters of the pool. And that's the only way he thinks he can be healed. Well, he says that to Jesus, and Jesus says, "Get up, take your mat, and walk." Now, what do you think is going to happen here? Jesus says, "Get up, take your mat, and walk." The man is probably going to say, "I don't know who you are, but I haven't walked in 38 years. Maybe he would argue with Jesus. Maybe he'd say, no, I need to just get into the pool." He doesn't argue. Because when Jesus says, "Get up, take your mat, and walk," that man can feel the strength re-enter his legs. And we are told, and at once, he got up and took his mat and walked. It's an amazing account of what Jesus can do. And if you read through Matthew, Mark, Luke, or the Gospel of John, you'll see account over and over and over of Jesus healing different people in many and various ways, and they are awesome. Now this man, the reason I like this man does not think that anything else can heal him other than that pool. Think back to the lesson of David and Goliath. Remember, when David went before Saul, remember Saul is the first king of Israel, and said, I can do this. Saul tried to give him the armor. Here, take my armor, take my sword, take my helmet. Saul thinks that the only way to win battle is with his armor. And this man thinks that the only way to be healed is in the water in the pool of Bethesda. But Jesus shows him that that water doesn't have the power, that Jesus has the power. And he uses it. Get up, take your mat, and walk. Now when we think of being healed today, we think, well, maybe we get a cold, so maybe we rest. Maybe we drink some orange juice or get some vitamin C. Maybe we take an aspirin if we have a headache. Maybe we need surgery if we break our arm, or maybe we need a needle for a vaccination. All of these different things are ways that we get healing today. But back then, Jesus doesn't use any of those. Jesus just spoke. Just used his words. That is the power that Jesus has. Jesus says it, and it happens. We'll see that again tomorrow. I don't want to give it away, but we'll see that again tomorrow. God strengthens us as we trust in Jesus and hear his words. God speaks to us all the time. He gives us the confidence. He gives us the strength. He reminds us over and over again that he is always with us. He is always guiding us, and that he gives us that strength. In the Old Testament, Psalm 46, it's a very famous psalm. Lots of people have used it. Actually, one of our very famous hymns, A Mighty Fortress is Our God, is based right here on this psalm, in Psalm 46. And I really like Psalm 46 because it gives us the reminder that God is our refuge and strength. He is always with us in times of trouble. And it makes us a picture. It makes us picture in our head that we are in like the center of a castle. Think of a large medieval castle. And the psalm talks about how everything outside may have earthquakes and the ocean may rise and foam, that we are safe. We are safe because God keeps us so. As he is the walls that barricade out all of the troubles and worries and evils that may pop up in our lives. It's a wonderful confidence that we are given there in Psalm 46, that is what God does for us. We get that same kind of image later in the New Testament in Romans chapter 8. Paul writes to the people in Rome that nothing can separate us. God continues to give us strength, and nothing can separate us from the love. So if we think that if we do something wrong, that if we sin, that there is no possible way for us to get forgiveness, Romans 8 reminds us nothing can separate us from the love of God. No height, no width, no depth, nothing in and under heaven can do so. That is an awesome thing for us to constantly be reminded of. And in those times that we get afraid, we can remember our memory verse for today. Our memory verse for today is Philippians 4, verse 13. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. What a wonderful message that we constantly get to live with and remember. That we can do all things through God who continues to strengthen us. David looked to those past experiences and trusted God because he looked back into his life and said, well, God kept me safe against the bear, and God kept me safe against the lion. And now that God helped him defeat Goliath, David would continue to be like, no, God truly is with me, and God truly is helping me in the ways that God is moving me. he was able to look at those past experiences and say, yes, I can trust God, and we can do the same thing. Maybe we can look back into our own lives and see things that were difficult or hard and go, God gave me the strength to do that. God helped me to stand up to a bully. God helped me to do something I didn't think that I could. God helped me study or practice really hard for a test or to make a team. When it comes to the man in our lesson today, he heard Jesus' words and they empowered him. And that's the same for us. Anytime that we feel worried or scared or afraid, we can go to Jesus' words. We have them in his word. We can open the Bible and see how Jesus continues to make promises to us, how he will be with us, how he will encourage us and support us and guide us, and in all things always love us. We can continue to hear those words and hear them applied into our very lives. That is how we know that God makes us strong in Jesus. So thanks for joining me today as we conclude day 3 of God's promises. As always, I hope to see you again for our next 2 days of lessons. Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine, and I hope it's sunny. If it's raining outside, I'm sorry. Do something fun and sunny inside. But I'll see you later, and see you tomorrow.